Welcome, everybody, to the Nightly News Podcast. This is Professor Paul Miller, and I'm sitting in today with Theater Director Janet Bixler. Janet, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you. Good to be back.
We are also speaking with Nightly News member Brianna McCoy. Brianna, it's a pleasure to have you back.
Oh, thank you. Hello.
You're very welcome. One of the things that we are going to be talking about today is the things that are going on in the theater in the fall term, including the 4th annual student-created play In the Middle that will be in the Capital Blue Cross Theater on November the 15th and 16th for a 7:30 show with a special matinee on Saturday, November 17th at 2:30. So, Janet, we're really looking forward to speaking with you about this created play and what it takes to put a student-created play together. So we'll definitely be looking for some insight on that. Brianna is also a part of the show, so she can give us some personal insight on that. I do want to start off the show by looking back at summer. Now, Janet, obviously the last time we had you on, it was to discuss Stand Up, Speak Out. Now that we are, a few months removed from that show, what was your feedback, or what was some, as you reflect back on the experience, can you talk to us a little bit about some of the things that went really, really well with the Stand Up, Speak Out show?
One of the great things about Stand Up, Speak Out was that we pulled in such a diverse group of community members who were willing to share their personal stories of having seen a wrong, taking action, and making it right. And we were able to involve people from Harrisburg, York, and Lancaster as storytellers, and they had such a diverse backstory. People who do a lot of political activism, people who work currently with inmates who are transitioning out of the prison system and trying to find work, individuals who work in the schools trying to stop the school to prison pipeline, people who work with restorative justice, people who have journeyed on their path of being identifying and living their life as gay men, and then being able to come out and being able to advocate for themselves in a community that was very, very resistant. And one of the great things about the experience was that with that diversity in storytelling, we really pulled in a very diverse audience over those 2 nights of performances. And there was a lot of discussion from people. It was amazing to hear from the different audience members which story truly spoke to them. And, you look at a person and you're like, oh, I know which story is going to speak to you. And then they tell you one that you did not expect. And it only goes to prove that each story has value, and you never know when somebody is going to be touched by a specific story. So you can't make assumptions about people. It was a great experience. We had pretty large audiences, and it was really wonderful to work with Scott Siciliano on the piano and work with our students and community members to perform songs from musicals where the characters were standing up and speaking out, and adding the element of musical theater into personal narrative storytelling.
Well, Janet, when you look back at 2018, and obviously this is the last performance, the In the Middle student-created play, you're looking back at Swords and Shakespeare, you're looking back at Reclaiming My Time, and you're looking back at Stand Up, Speak Out. Could you argue that this has been the most successful year in the theater based on attendance and press that you've gotten in the community and feedback you've gotten from people who attended the show?
Well, yes, and thank goodness, because that's to be expected as we progress year after year. The theater opened in 2014, and so we're wrapping up the 2018 theater season. So thank goodness we're getting more people in the audience, and we're getting more press from the community, and we're getting people to really talk about it to other people. So thank goodness that's happening, and it's to be expected. And it's been a great season with people coming in from the community that of course don't know about the theater and really have no connection to me, the students, or the actors. And they come because they've heard it's happening.
Well, and something, too, this is actually we just concluded our final CPC film series this time as well. And I know that's kind of outside of your purview, but you're still a theater director, and to see that each one that we're doing is consistently growing each time, I mean, that's what we're really looking for. You got to start somewhere, but at some point you're hoping to see that continue to build. I have to tell you that from my perspective, you should be very, very, very proud of 2018 with the uniqueness of many of the different things that you've done, whether it was doing something outside with Swords and Shakespeare, whether doing something that was, totally created by not only Professor Chow, but yourself as well, bringing it to life with Reclaiming My Time. And I understand that there's some talks about some future for Reclaiming My Time as well. Anything you can maybe share?
People have reached out to us from a variety of universities and organizations in the community wanting us to take it on the road. Currently, Professor Chow and I are revisiting the script because a lot of places that want us to take the show are not able to stage it in the round in which we originally staged it, which means it was blocked, and some people like to think of the word choreographed, in the round. So all of that actually has to be restaged for proscenium, or what is the typical style of viewing a play where the audience sits on one side and looks into the show. So, yep, we're working on restaging it so it can go on the road, and we have interest.
Well, that's good. So at least you have somewhere to start. Well, Brian, I want to bring you into this conversation as we move to talking about the 4th annual student-created play, In the Middle. Again, that will be in the Capitol Blue Cross Theater, November 15 and 16 for a 7:30 show, and November 17 for a special matinee. Now, speaking from somebody who has been involved in, this is your second student-created play, correct?
No, this is my first.
This is your first student-created play.
But Bree was instrumental in our third because at the last minute, like 2 weeks before we were to go up, she volunteered to be our crew backstage because we had a lot of props and set pieces that needed to be moved. And that's when I realized Bree was actually interested in the theater. And she came in, like, it was kind of the last minute, and she did such a great job.
Well, and that's what I thought. I knew that you were at least a part of it. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be on stage, but you were absolutely a part of it. So now that you've actually had the opportunity to go through an entire student-created play, can you give us a little bit of insight behind the scenes of the creative process that comes along with creating something like this?
The creative process. Okay, so the process that, we went by to, get everything situated, we first started with digging deeper into ourselves to find our middle, to find what we are in between, what we're stuck on right now. So that was, pretty deep because, some of our middles are something that, sometimes we can't handle it. Like, I know for, like, in one part, I shut down because it was too much for me to handle. So we started off with that, doing little exercises to bring out, what it really means and how to get over it. Like that, and all that, in that little span of time that we actually had to do that, we did it and it came out great. So now we got these stories, and then we moved on to actually putting the stories together and putting it out in a way where people will be entertained and like they'll get the message at the same time.
But Brianna, do you find this, okay, to your point where you were saying that some of this was very difficult for you, did you find this acting in front of people or in just even the creation, do you find that therapeutic at all? Do you find that it's helped you maybe deal with your middle, as you put it?
To be completely honest, no, because I couldn't put my middle in there because I knew it was about me. So this part, no. But as an actor, yeah, I feel like it's relaxing to get on stage, get out of character for a little bit and play somebody else and, to act crazy and fun, even though I do that on a daily. Like, it's fun to do it in front of other people and, like, to get laughs and to make everybody happy. So, yeah, it is actually therapeutic for me.
That's great. I mean, that's kind of the point. Janet, can you let us in on a little bit more of the behind-the-scenes creative process to putting something like this together?
Sure. So as Bree mentioned, when we first gathered to begin the creation process, they shared stories of in their middle and really started to look at, well, what is in the middle for them? What is it saying? And how do you deal with it? And that's also the time when I brought in our school counselor, Tom Palmieri, so that he could offer insight of what a person might go through when they're in the middle of, specifically, do you agree, Bree, that he was asking us to look at when we're in the middle of a big decision or when we're in the middle of a life change? Mm-hmm. He gave us tips to look at, this is what's happening when you're in this stage, and this is how you may or may not deal with it and identify others in that stage. But he also was present in case we wanted to, as Bree said, when we go real deep and it just kind of bubbles up and we're like, how do we deal with this? And do we deal with this? He was there willing to be a listening ear that is a learned listening ear to let us debrief with him if we wanted to. And that's really important because all of these types of student-created plays, we pick a topic and we ask them to pull on their real lived experiences to provide the core content of the show. And it is always my hope that they feel protected and safe. And so I always look to bring in someone like Tom so that they can. While Bree was mentioning she has chosen not to share one of her personal stories, the character she plays works beautifully in the real life process of when we are in the middle of something. Because often we're in the middle of something, there is someone who holds space for us and witnesses it, and may or may not be a confidant or a sounding board, but they're in our life. And the character that Bree plays in our show is kind of that role. The person who holds space for when we are in the middle and provides framework. We can't give too much away, but it's actually a really important point. And what her character says has only been able to be built because she's holding space for the other 4 actors who are sharing their true stories. Bree, as a cast member, is holding space for them. She's processing and listening to everything and able to write what her character needs to say. So it's really valid. And even though Bree didn't share a personal true story, what she's doing is real and true in life when we are in relationship.
You bring up a very interesting point, and this is something that I've actually, in trying to talk to some of the people who are involved with the show, you made a comment earlier, we can't give too much away. What is it about this particular student-created play that's going to be different, that you're really trying to keep things under wraps? Because I thought usually you're willing to talk to me about everything that goes along with the show without giving away spoilers, of course. This is the one time that's not the case. You've told me, hey, we got to be very careful what we say because we don't want to give too much away. Why is that?
It'll ruin the experience when you actually come to sit down and see the show. You know, we're going to take you back and forth from reality to like fantasy to dreams and different stuff. And if we tell you too much, you'll know too much. And then you'll like get the show already in your head. So we'd rather you come sit down and you watch it for yourself and you put together what we're trying to tell you, you know, like with the little pieces that we got going.
I appreciate that, but it also makes it very difficult for me to do any promotion when talking about what the play is about.
Look at you in the middle, Miller. Look at you.
I'm in the middle of trying to figure out how to promote this, is where I'm in the middle of.
Well, I think I can say this much. When you walk into the theater, you're stepping into a TV studio called WIMG. You are about to witness 4 actors who have been hired to tape 4 episodes of a TV show called The Middle Zone. And as Bree mentioned, throughout the play, we're traveling back and forth from fantasy to reality. And I think we can say there's some twists and turns that may lead you to think of supernatural. And as Parker, one of our actors, is saying to everybody, expect the unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess my next question is, why should students come and see this? Now, I do want to preface this by saying this. You are being very proactive with offering not only extra credit for your classes and others who want to bring students, but extra credit opportunities. And this is what I find very unique about what you did with Reclaiming My Time, is that you put something out there that said, listen, here's some extra credit opportunities if you want to invite your students that they can do, which makes it so much easier from a faculty perspective for me to be able to give extra credit. Because obviously I'm not going to be able to come to all 3 showings to see if people were there. What I've done in the past is, I'm going to be here this night. If you can make it this night, then that's fine, and I can make sure you get extra credit. But you've went as far as to sending out extra credit opportunities for our students. So students, if you are out there and you are interested in seeing this, maybe inquire with your professor if they'd be willing to offer extra credit. But that being said, why should students come to see this play, Janet?
Well, as the actors, and we can't forget Malcolm, who is our tech.
Is he leaving? Is he graduating?
Yeah, he's in his internship, so...
That's very sad.
Yes.
We all love Malcolm.
Yes, and he's not a button pusher in the booth. He literally is a piece of the show because we use a good bit of sounds in this show, and he's finding them all and crafting them. So he is an equal element to the actors in our show. And yes, he's very valuable, and we will miss him. So why should students come see the show? As we created it, the actors and Malcolm, A lot of the students in the middle scenarios are universal to their age, but also we found just in our small cast and crew of 6 people, there are very unique in the middle scenarios. So a student would come understanding that we all have similar experiences, so don't feel alone, but the importance of empathy and realizing that there is so much under the surface of the person you're interacting with that you have no idea what it is because you don't know that person well enough. You haven't lived in their shoes. But when you have the opportunity to see people become vulnerable like you will in our show and share some deep stuff that they're in the middle of and working it out, then you can walk away as a student knowing how much better it is not to judge on first impressions and how important it is to get to know a person on a real level. And it goes into the working relationships too. So when our students leave and they're working in physical therapy and occupational therapy and in the criminal justice system, in the world of business, each person they encounter, clients, patients, by seeing this show are reminded that this client, this patient brings with them issues that they can't speak about. But knowing that, we can address these other people in a way where they may feel safe, or hopefully they feel safe, or considered.
And Brianna, from your perspective as a student, what benefits could inviting friends or other students on campus to come down and seeing this?
Well, one, you get to see me on stage. That's a benefit. But I feel as though this will help students understand that, because there's a piece in the show that lets you know that you don't have to make a decision right now. Being in the middle is okay. Like, don't rush to make a decision that's gonna, you don't know how it's gonna alter your life at that moment or make you feel. So relax, take a breather, and to let them know that there's always that one person there that, that's there to help you out, like to push you through it, and to like Janet said, to help you know that we're all going through it. It's not just you, to connect better.
So let's say somebody in the listening audience is in the middle of a decision right now and they're not sure which way they want to go. Who do you want to put out there to them to reach out to? Is it friends? Is it family? Are there other channels to go to? Because you guys have had this opportunity of analyzing some middles that we're talking about. What about people that are out there that are in the middle and don't know where to turn?
There's lots of places. Bree, what is one of your ways that you deal with your in the middles?
I go to my mother. My mother knows best. I feel like, she's the all-knowing.
I'm sure she would appreciate hearing that. I
know. But friends, family, like my own therapeutic ways to like relax through the middle. I write, I do that, or like I do things to keep me occupied or busy. Things that, don't really concern my in the middle right now. So let me get that finished and I'll come right back to that. I'm not saying it's a good idea to always push it off, but to take a breather from it for a second.
Yeah, but sometimes it's better to give it some thought. And sometimes you need to step back from it. I mean, I was just in a situation yesterday where right before the end of the day, I received an email of something that I've been working on for a long time, and there were some issues. And at the time, I wanted to just address this right away, and I said, you know what, I need to take a step back. I need to give it some time. I need to think about it, because sometimes if we act too quickly on our middle, we make the wrong decisions. We say things we regret. And sometimes if we take the time to just kind of ease off, cool off a little bit, maybe think about some other things and then come back to it later. To me personally, I don't want to speak for anyone else, but for me personally, that's what I need. I think a lot of the times we make mistakes in our lives is because we try to be reactionary and we react too quickly, when really if we would have just taken some extra time, we might have made a better decision for the long haul. So that's just my perspective. Well, Janet, I just have a couple of questions before we close out the show. Again, everybody, please make sure that you're marking on your calendars November 15 and 16 in the Capitol Blue Cross Theater at 7:30, and a special matinee showing November 17 at 2:30. So, Janet, you've had a wonderful 2018, and I know nothing is set in stone at this point, but I would love to hear just some ideas you're floating around for the 2019 theater schedule. What are some of the things you have in mind?
Well, we hope to offer the first annual coffee house series, where the theater will turn into a coffee house with great coffee and hot chocolate available and other treats. We will have a professional musician. We will have published authors, local published authors reading excerpts from their work, and students or community actors taking excerpts from banned books that different organizations or communities have banned for different reasons and bringing excerpts from the book to life. So we're hoping to bring that into the theater. It's the first annual Coffee House series. And
I love it. It's very unique.
Mm-hmm. And we hope to bring into the theater a partnership where the theater will be producing a new work by the Sankofa African American Theater Company from Harrisburg. They are going to be creating a work around a very specific concept and highlighting many African American actors and theater practitioners in the area. And then our theater becomes the venue for them to produce the work and the opportunity for our students to become actors or tech with that production. And that's a great opportunity to blend with theater partners in the area. And also, well, there will be a 5th student created play, which we do not know the topic of yet. And then
We got a year to figure that one out. 9 months.
Well, and then we hope to bring in, at the end of 2019, a murder mystery dinner.
Oh, I would absolutely love that.
So we have some theater colleagues out in the community who actually are professional improv artists, and they do host and go out and tour with different murder mysteries. And the thought is they will create one specifically for our theater around a topic that relates to the time of the year in December. And the theater will be turned into a bit of a restaurant, hopefully working with our new food service, and have a whole meal and the whole interactive murder mystery happening in our theater.
I love it. Sounds fantastic. And of course, we won't hold you to any of these things. Just some brainstorming at this point. One final thing that I want to bring up. Janet, obviously you are the advisor of the Central Penn Players. I would love for you, if you would be interested in doing so, giving a shout out about maybe a little bit more of what the Central Penn Players has been involved with this term and how anybody that's out there listening can get involved if they'd like to.
Well, we are sitting here with our president, Brianna McCoy of the Central Penn Players, and today, which is Wednesday, we have Drama Club meeting, and it's every Wednesday in the theater from 4:30 to 5:30. And Bree, with her Vice President Parker Rose, have been doing a fabulous job. Have you guys? Is this your second term? Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness, yeah. They're really running the meetings well. They are very active about making sure that people are involved and enthusiastic. They just completed their original children's play that they created and performed for the Fall Harvest, and it was wonderful. It was one of our best, and we've done 5. This is our 5th one, and it was so great. It was so solid and pulled together, and it was them. And really, Bree really took the initiative on that. So that's wonderful. But Bree, do you want to talk about what we might be doing? Because Bree and Parker are both in the play, and the play is very consuming. We try to keep our drama club meetings just to drama club and not rehearse our play during it. So do you want to talk about, a typical meeting and what we might hope to do when the show's over after Thanksgiving?
So our typical meetings go from, our agenda. We talk about what we're going to do for the whole term. We start with that, right? And then we go through, finances and stuff like that. But then we go into, improv games to get us warmed up. We start with a little warm-up, like Kitty Won a Corner, and then we go into,
I'm fully aware of that. Janet's played that
really?
with my... she does some of these games with my CPC Foundations class when we're talking about emotional intelligence, which is a very nice touch to that class, I have to tell you.
But then we go into other, actual improv games to get them up off their feet and get their bodies in it and moving. But before we even start that whole thing, we have this little, I don't want to call it a slogan. Is that what it would be? A slogan or a little mantra or something that we say before we get into it, which is CP Players, where creativity inspires friendships. And I feel like starting off with that makes everybody comfortable to get out of their skin and relax. Okay, so we're here to be, cool and friends, And I like the relationship we build with everybody that's already in the group. And we're looking for more people if you guys want to come down. We're very friendly.
Of course. And so certainly everybody is going to put on their calendars that they're going to come down and see the 4th annual Student Creative Play in the middle.
And I did want to make a point because the students in the show have worked really hard to add comedy to this play because they were very concerned because the actual stories they're sharing are deep and they become very vulnerable. They definitely wanted to add comedy, and they're doing it. But that's also in the places that Bree's talking about. You got to keep watching so you're filling in, like you're connecting the puzzle pieces. Who's who when? Because they're definitely going back and forth between that reality and fantasy. But there is comedy. They're specifically putting that in.
Well, thank you guys very much for coming down today. It's been my pleasure to have you, and we certainly will do everything that we can to continue the support of In the Middle, November 15th and 16th at 7:30 and 17th at 2:30. All right, well, we are going to get out of here for today's podcast, but I do want to very, very sincerely thank Theater Director Janet Bixler. Janet, thank you so much for being on the program today.
Thank you for your support.
And Central Penn Players President and Nightly News Media Club reporter, Brianna McCoy. Brianna, as always, thank you very much for coming down and sharing your experiences with In the Middle.
No problem. Anytime, Miller. Anytime.
All right. So for Professor Paul Miller and Theater Director Janet Bixler and Brianna McCoy, we'll catch you next time on the Nightly News Podcast.
Hey guys, it's Community Relations Coordinator Curtis Volker, and you're tuned in to the Nightly News Podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to the Nightly News Podcast. This is Professor Paul Miller, and we're going to take a little different direction today on the show. My COM270 Writing for Broadcast Media class has been working very diligently about stories all around campus. So today, what they are going to be doing is they're going to be voicing their stories for you today. So you're going to hear a lot of new voices talking about a lot of amazing things that have gone on or will be going on the Central Penn College campus in October and November. So take it away, COM270 class.
This is Angina Hegeman with a news brief. Central Penn's Colleges Against Cancer Club attended the annual Making Strides Against Breast Cancer Walk on Saturday, October 20th at City Island in Harrisburg. The 5K walk began on City Island and crossed the walking bridge into Front Street in Harrisburg. The club joined thousands of survivors, families of survivors, and community members to honor breast cancer survivors and raise awareness. Kristen Fike, the Central Penn Colleges Against Cancer, or CAC, co-advisor, is on the walk's event committee. Fike has been participating in the Strides Against Breast Cancer walk since 2009. One of her good friends who was diagnosed with breast cancer got her involved in the walk. Kristen explained that her friend was diagnosed at 25 with breast cancer. Her friend survived for 7 years. She passed away at age 32. After her friend's death in 2012, she continued to participate in the walk. According to the American Breast Cancer Society Strides Against Breast Cancer, in 2018, approximately 250,000 people will be diagnosed with breast cancer. The Making Strides Against Breast Cancer walk raises money to help the American Cancer Society fight the disease through breast cancer research. This year's walk raised $534,316 of their goal of $700,000. There are currently 5 active members of the Central Penn's CAC Club, both traditional and continuing education students. Students can get involved in the club by attending their meetings every other Thursday at 4:30 p.m. in the courtroom on the first floor of Bollinger Hall. Kristen said they meet for about 15 to 30 minutes every other Thursday to talk about what's going on within the club. If students are available, they can come out to the club's meetings and join any event the CAC Club has going on. For the Nightly News, this is Angina Hegeman.
This is Nightly News President Brian Cristiano with a news brief. The Central Penn women's basketball team will be opening up their season in the inaugural tip-off tournament against the College of Southern Maryland, Penn State Mont Alto, and Penn State Stratton at East Pennsboro High School on November 9th and 10th. Coach Casey Hitch says that the team is ready to have a great season. The Lady Knights will be suiting up 16 women this season, which is the most in program history. The team has been practicing every night and is ready to make a statement in the USCAA. This is Brian Christiana reporting for the Nightly News Media Club.
This is Nightly News reporter Christian Folk with a news brief. The Black Student Union Group recently held a cookout in the Quad area during homecoming week. BSU was started in 2014 by a group of students Giancarlo Van Wright, Ricky Kozar, Jessica Grice, Jada Mae Woodfolk, and Lawrence Wilson. The group was created to bring diversity to Central Penn College and left a lasting stand for diversity to this day. This club welcomes all races, genders, ethnicities, and nationalities and encourages everyone to join. It was not always a big group. It was overshadowed by many other groups in the early stages. In fact, in 2016, the president of the group dropped out of school. Luckily, in 2017, the club's president role was filled by Cortez Harris, a student that has been enrolled at Central Penn College since 2016. Harris said, quote, "When the president dropped out of school, no one wanted to fill in the spot, so I accepted it and wanted to bring BSU out of the shadows," end quote. That he did with another beautiful example of what the club does for the campus with this cookout held. The event was to bring the campus together and get everyone out and interacting, and that is exactly what it did. Heckert said, quote, "The weather was great, the food was good, and I saw a lot of new faces that I got to meet," end quote. The event gave students time to socialize while enjoying hamburgers, hot dogs, water, and Powerade. There was a great turnout and plenty of people that attended. The club ran out of food and beverages within the first hour and a half due to the students, faculty, and staff all in attendance. And for the Nightly News, I'm Christian Folk.
Hello, this is Nightly News reporter Keon Green. The Black Student Union held a speed social for students by the Night and Day Cafe to help students meet and greet one another to start the fall term. This event was held October 16, 2018. This speed social brought many nights together as conversations flowed and food and drinks were served. BSU is hoping to have more events like this in the near future. Formerly Nightly News reporter Keon Green speaking with you.
This is Nightly News reporter Kimberly Musser with a news brief. The Bras are back. Bras Across Campus returns to Central Penn College. Bras Across Campus, a spin-off of the Bras Across the Bridge campaign that strung 900 bras across Walnut Street Bridge in Harrisburg, starting in 2015, will be held again at Central Penn College today, November 6th, at the Quad Bridge area at 4:30 p.m. The activities director, students, and the Colleges Against Cancer Club helped Central Penn become one of the first colleges to host a Bras Across Campus event, handpicked by the founder of the Feel Your Boobies Foundation, Lee Hurst. Hurst said Central Penn was an integral part of getting the program off the ground. The CAC Club will once again host this growing event, now in its third year at Central Penn College's Summerdale campus. Director of Residence Life for the college, Lindsay Garber, states, "We have grown in donations and participation each year. Typically, the event will start with a speaker, then the participants will line up and walk the bras across the bridge. After the bras are hung, everyone can enjoy a cupcake while they are discussing the Feel Your Boobies campaign message. Bras Across Campus falls under the College Outreach Program for the Feel Your Boobies Foundation, which focuses on increasing student engagement with the FYB message. Feel Your Boobies Foundation is a nonprofit breast cancer organization that promotes proactive breast health to young women, focusing on women under 40, pre-mammogram age. The American Cancer Society projects over 200,000 cases annually. Since this occurs at a much lower rate among young women, they remain underrepresented in many research studies. Research shows that breast cancer diagnoses among African American women under 35 are twice as high compared to women of other races. The CAC Club works with the Feel Your Boobies Foundation to host Bras Across Campus, as well as the American Cancer Society Walk, Making Strides Against Breast Cancer, to educate our students on the importance of breast self-check and awareness. For the Nightly News, I'm Kimberly Musser.
This is Nightly News reporter Laura Lee with a news brief. Central Penn College welcomes a new club named the Elite Lady Knights. There are two captains, corporate communications major Laura Lee, and criminal justice major Madison Barker, assisted by co-captain, who's also a communications major, Quinice Walker. The Elite Lady Knights will cheer for men's and women's basketball games. Tryouts held on October 22nd and 23rd. Each captain allows another to take turns teaching chairs, and they communicate well with each other. Activities Director Adrian Tholman says, quote, "We have a great group of gals in leadership roles. I know they have the skills and the experience to make this club a success. It's going to be hard work, and they will be busy, but I know they can do it. I can't wait to see them cheering at our home games," end quote. If you are interested in joining the Elite Lady Knights, don't be scared to email the club at elite.ladyknights@gmail.com. So keep a lookout for the Elite Lady Knights at basketball games and help spread school spirit. Go Knights! For the Nightly News, I'm Laura Lee.
This is Nightly News reporter Leslie Heimbaugh with the News Brief. The Capitol Blue Cross Theater hosted a screening of Airplane, the fourth installment of the CPC film series, on October 26th. The Nightly News Media Club took the opportunity to create a fundraiser for the Central Penn College Food Pantry. Before the movie, the club sold refreshments for a cash donation, and in lieu of an admission fee, guests were encouraged to bring non-perishable food items. After expenses, the club contributed $100 in cash and non-perishables to help students in need. Before the screening, Professor and Chair of Central Penn's English and Communication Department, Thomas Davis, presented a short talk titled, "Shirley, Why So Serious? Absurdism and Airplane." Davis said, quote, "The comedy is, at times, a byproduct of serious actors delivering straightforward, often stilted dialogue. This comedy arising from tragedy can be connected thematically to what French philosopher Albert Camus referred to as absurdity." Released in 1980, Airplane is actually a film parody based sometimes almost verbatim on the 1957 disaster film 0 Hour. Jim Abrams and brothers David and Jerry Zucker, who wrote and directed Airplane, purchased the rights for 0 Hour for a very modest fee to avoid accusations of plagiarism. Assistant Professor of Humanities Dr. Brant Ellsworth, who was also in attendance, said, quote, "I really enjoyed Professor Davis's discussion of absurdity and how it functioned in the film. I did not know the script was borrowed from an earlier war film. I have a new appreciation for the film's directors and their foresight." For Nightly News, I'm Leslie Heimbaugh.
This is Nightly News reporter Peyton Gorham with the News Brief. With it already being the end of October, the next big fall holiday is quickly approaching. Transitioning from the month of October and all of the Halloween festivities that go with it, we move on to the much more traditional holiday, Thanksgiving. This is a holiday where we get a chance to come together with those we love and give thanks for all that we have. Staff members at Central Penn College have made it their mission to make sure all students get to celebrate the holiday with someone. While many students go home over Thanksgiving break, not all have the opportunity to do so. Central Penn has made it where students may go to a faculty or staff member's home for Thanksgiving, but those who are uncomfortable with doing so also have an alternative option. According to Professor Micaiah Smith-Morris, Central Penn will be hosting a multi-cross-cultural Thanksgiving dinner in the NPR room that we are calling All in the CPC Family. If interested in coming, please RSVP as space to the event is limited. The dinner will showcase different styles of food from all different cultures, some of these styles being traditional Pennsylvania Dutch, African American, Puerto Rican American, and Italian American cuisine. Dr. Fenor, one of the faculty members involved in putting the event together, will be serving the dinner, and to-go containers will also be provided. The dinner will be held on Thanksgiving Day, November 22nd. If you are a student interested in attending this event, please RSVP via email to Lindsay Garber, the Resident Life Director, at lindsaygarber@centralpenn.edu, and she will provide you with more information. For the Nightly News, Peyton Gorham.
This is Nightly News reporter Quentin Heckard with a news brief. The Central Penn Knights men's soccer team had high hopes for the 2018 season, with some new additions to the team, including Captain Max Thorpe, Ted Kreitz, and Kyle Vargas. After a disappointing game opener against Valley Forge, which ended in a tie, the Knights went on a 5-game win streak. Their wins include a game-winning kick by Kyle Vargas and double overtime against longtime Central Penn rival Penn State Mount Alto. Quote, "At that point, we were determined to get the game over with and come out with a victory. I passed the ball to Kyle, and he went Ronaldo," end quote, said midfielder Max Thorpe. They went on to defeat Patrick Henry in their third game of the year with a game-winning goal from Thorpe. The Knights now currently sit at a record of 5-3-1 and are ranked 14th in their division. With the season coming to an end, the Knights are doubtful that they will make the playoffs, but optimistic about where the program is headed in the upcoming years. And for the Nightly News, I'm Quentin Heckard.
This is the Nightly News reporter Quinice Walker with a news brief. On October 20th, Central Penn held a homecoming dance with DJ Bub. The dance was held in the Central Penn Conference Center, and it started at 9 p.m. First walking in, there was a photo booth area where those who would like to took pictures with props and friends. The school has a dance every term, and the homecoming dance had the best turnout. The event organizers were pleasantly surprised with the attendance of the event. Student Malcolm Fox attended the dance as well, and he said, quote, "The highlight of the night was doing the cha-cha slide and the Cupid shuffle because almost every student was involved," end quote. The homecoming dance was a big success overall, and everyone who attended enjoyed themselves. Fox also mentioned that, quote, "In the future of homecoming events, I hope there is more done to promote the event and we can get other schools from the Pennsylvania area to attend the dance as well," end quote. Be sure to look forward for flyers around campus for the upcoming winter term dance. For the Nightly News, I am Quinice Walker.
Hello, everyone. This is Nightly News reporter Tyler Coleman with the News Brief. Course registration for the winter semester here at Central Penn College is fast approaching. Registration will open for students who carry 91 credits or more on October 29th, for students who carry 61 credits or more on October 30th, and for students who carry 31 credits or more on October 31st. Registration start times for each day will begin at 12:01 a.m. Program Coordinator for the Communications Department, Paul Miller, suggests that students should always take their core classes offered each term in their preferred modality. For any students looking for elective classes, course descriptions for each class can be found on the school website at www.centralpenn.edu. Students must keep in mind that they have the responsibility to keep track of what classes they need in order to reach graduation credits. CPC students are also encouraged to stay in touch with their advisor during this time in case any questions or concerns that may arise. For the Nightly News, I'm Tyler Coleman.